Oh, here she is. Here's the 601 or 641, I should say. Get you back. Got the hood off right now. I was trying to get it running. Did quite a bit of work on the tuning it up. New plugs, wires, coil, cap, rotor, points, condenser, new battery. Kept it 6 volt. Got a lot of the parts from Dennis Carpenter, and then Napa and Farm Tractor Repair.com, I think it was. And what else? We put a new temp gauge in it. Got it running. I'll start it up here for a second. Here, got a little temp gas can here because the one here is got a bunch of rust in it. Tried to do the electrolysis on it. It did pretty good. Then it started lifting somebody previously put some sealer on it, or sealer in it, I should say. So that started lifting off. And so I'm probably going to either put some acid in it or try and get that out, or either buy a new tank. Rebuilt the carb. That kit, that's a TSX 765, I believe. Only place I could find that had the comprehensive kit that basically include all the parts on the internals was the Farm Tractor Repair.com, I think it was. New cables, they're 2 aught cables for the 6 volt. That's what everybody says on the internet that I need to carry the extra amps that the 6 volt system needs. And I'll speak to the issue with the hydraulics I got here in a sec. But here we'll start it up. I think we got, turn the gas on here, turn the key on. Hard to do this with one hand. Well, it's got too much choke on it, but it'll start. It runs here in a little bit. Later in the video, I'll get it running. But the issue I have here now, when I was testing the hydraulics lift arms worked. And I decided I was going to take it for a little test drive, and got about 10 foot out of the garage here. And the fluid started puking out the shifter boot. So a little research, everybody was saying on the internet that it was probably water in the transmission. So I was like, oh, wow, okay. So I drained it, took the drain plug over here from the other side of here. I think it's like when you change the fluid, you pull this plug out here. And it was completely slam full. I'll stitch a picture in here of that with the cap off. Right now I've drained it down to the fill level here. But then went to check the hydraulics, and the hydraulics reservoir was completely empty. So that's kind of led me to, well, the dipstick was missing, so I took the fill cap off and noticed that it was empty. It looked like it was wet. It looked like it had fluid in it recently, but I believe what has happened, based on what everybody's telling me on the internet, and I'll give credit to the guy that basically pointed me in the right direction. It was on one of the tractor forums on Facebook. But it's basically, what we're thinking is there's a tube that runs from the hydraulic system to the pump on the front here that has a hole in it that it actually runs through the transmission. And later in the video here, I'm going to try and do some testing here to validate that. But supposedly if you take this manifold off here, there's 2 tubes that run from here clear back to the rear of the transmission where all the hydraulic fluids and stuff are. So if this manifold is removed, there's a steel tube that's actually pressed in about 1 inch, but it goes clear through there. So you either have to separate the tractor to pull it out, or they say you can remove this manifold, I'll say that for the 4th time, and thread the tube and actually use a slide hammer or something and actually pull the tube out. I've got the replacement tube on order, but once I get this manifold off, I'll take and shoot some air in the line with the compressor and see if we'll see bubbles in the transmission. I'll either take this cap off here or take this entire plate off so we can actually see if we get bubbles in there, to kind of validate that there's a crack in that tube, and we'll get that replaced. And hopefully that'll be the last major thing I have to do here with this, other than the gas tank. And then also I believe what I have is a leak here in the radiator. So I'll have to deal with that at some point. Did replace the exhaust. Excuse all the mess. Got a 69 pickup. That was my grandfather's that I'll be redoing. I'll get this crap cleaned up for if I do some future videos, but we'll go with that. The reason I got this tractor was actually my dad had a 640, which is a little bit earlier tractor than this one. I was getting this one because this one's got good tires and good sheet metal, even though the fenders aren't the same. But I do have these are the original fenders on my dad's 640 here. They're pretty rusted up, and I did find another set. I actually got these off of eBay, believe it or not, and I ain't paid but $50 a piece for them. And the guy shipped them all the way from, I think it was Kansas somewhere. So that was pretty cool. They're beat up on the corners a little bit, but they're definitely not as rusted as those. But the sheet metal is pretty much the same, other than between the 640 and the 641. But I think there's the 640's got the Ford is actually raised on the hood, and I think this is the bracing underneath this is a little bit different. But for the most part, it's the same, and that was the intent, was going to swap this on to my dad's, and I'll show a picture of my dad's here if I can remember to put that in here. And so that's basically the intro to what's going on. I got the tube on order. It should be here in a couple days, and I'll maybe film the removal of the manifold after I drain the fluids, and we'll test that tube with some air, and then we'll go from there. All right, I just didn't let it set long enough, but key on, gas on, and you got to wait for it a little bit, trickle down to the carb. I think that's what my problem was, because I think it started leaking again on me because I choked it too much. Oh yeah, so there's some gas in there. But all right, keys on, neutral. It needs some adjusting, but we'll get there.